I think Tamara raises a thoughtful objection, but the strongest biblical response is that she never really explains why the text repeatedly blurs the distinction between the angel of Yahweh and Yahweh himself. A few key points. 1. Exodus 3 doesn't merely say an angel delivered a message. The text begins, "The angel of Yahweh appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush," then immediately says, "Yahweh saw that he turned aside," and then, "God called to him from the midst of the bush." And then the speaker says, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." The problem for Tamara's explanation is that ordinary angels never identify themselves as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They speak for God, "Thus says the Lord," but here the speaker claims God's identity. 2. The angel of Yahweh receives worship and does not reject it. In Joshua 5, the commander of Yahweh's army receives Joshua's worship and tells him, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy." That echoes the burning bush scene exactly. Compare that with ordinary angels in Revelation 19 and 22, who refuse worship and say, "Worship God." The angel of Yahweh never gives that correction. 3. Genesis 16 and Genesis 22 are even more difficult. Hagar encounters the angel of Yahweh and afterward says, "You are the God who sees me." In Genesis 22, the angel of Yahweh says, "You have not withheld your son from me," not from God, not on behalf of God, but from me. The angel speaks as the recipient of Abraham's obedience. 4. Jacob explicitly identifies the angel with God. This is perhaps the strongest passage. In Genesis 31, the angel says, "I am the God of Bethel." Later in Genesis 48:15-16, Jacob says, "The God before whom my fathers walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life, the angel who redeemed me from all evil, bless the boys." Notice the parallel. God, the angel. Yet Jacob speaks of the angel as the Redeemer and invokes his blessing. 5. Tamara's agency argument only goes so far. Jewish interpreters often appeal to the concept of agency. A messenger can speak for the one who sent him. That explains some passages. What it doesn't easily explain is why this particular angel calls himself God, receives worship, forgives sins, claims divine authority, bears the divine name, is distinguished from Yahweh in some passages while identified as Yahweh in others. That is why many Christian theologians see the angel of Yahweh as a pre-incarnate appearance of Jesus Christ, distinct from the Father, yet fully divine. A concise apologetics response, you could say, if the angel of Yahweh were merely a created angel, then the Old Testament repeatedly places him in situations where he speaks as God, identifies himself as God, receives honor due to God, and even calls himself the God of Bethel. Agency explains speaking on God's behalf, but it does not adequately explain why the angel claims divine identity and receives divine reverence without correction. The most natural reading is that the angel of Yahweh is a divine person, distinct from the Father, yet sharing Yahweh's identity. That's the central issue Tamara never fully resolves. She explains how God could use a messenger, but she doesn't explain why that messenger repeatedly talks and acts as Yahweh himself.